English language and composition essay question strategies. These are specifically for training for the exam, the AP exam, and for the types of essays that we're going to do in class for practice. Okay, strategies for the essay section. The essay section is the most challenging part of the exam. There are 3 types of essay question you will see on the exam. Synthesis question, where you have to read several short passages and discuss 3 of them at least, and support or challenge an argument. An argumentative essay, in which you will write about a passage's validity. It's same again, challenge or defend a position or explain it. And finally, one in which you examine the writer's rhetorical purpose, or the techniques, or the syntax, or the tone or attitude of the writer, and then talk about that. So we will look at ways to approach each of these essays specifically, and also general essay writing skills. Ability tested. The essay section is testing your understanding of how language works and your ability to communicate intelligent ideas in the essay form. Your analytical skills will help you not just in reading, but also in writing as well. Skills. You will need to be able to form a good thesis statement and prove it through concrete examples. Your paragraphs and ideas should be logically organized. Keep in mind, you must also demonstrate depth of thought. Your ideas must show some development, okay? And remember, this is supposed to be college-level writing, or at least an attempt at college-level writing. Your discussion of literary aspects such as tone, attitude, and persuasion is essential to earning a good score. So is including references. If you're writing about different passages, or you're writing the synthesis essay, you must use evidence from those passages in your essay in order to get a passing score. You cannot pass without doing so. So you should learn how to put references into your essays, and there is a presentation on citations and references. For the AP exam, you don't need to know how to do proper MLA citations, but you should know how to at least note where your source came from in your writing. So I would go and have a look at that video and learn it as well. Instructions for the exam will be the same for every exam. You will receive 2 booklets, one with the questions in which you can make notes and plan your essays, and the writing booklet where you will record your essays. You have to have a pen for this in the exam. Bring 2 pens, either black or dark blue ink. The essays must be written in pen. You will first read the questions and then be told when to open the writing booklet. You will have a 15-minute reading period. I would suggest reading the questions and start to plan your essays a little bit in that time. Like, decide how you're going to answer the questions. Are you going to challenge the argument, or are you going to defend the argument? Which of the synthesis articles are you going to choose? Circle the ones you think will help you and make a few notes in those 15 minutes for each of the questions. Okay, you will have 2 hours and 15 minutes total to complete the essay, so 15 minutes of that is technically a reading period. Each essay should be written in about 40 minutes, and the examiner will announce 40-minute intervals, so to keep you on pace, moving to the next question. When you do practice questions, I would strongly advise that you time these yourself and start training to write the types of essays that we're going to practice. So they all come from former AP exams. Start practicing those questions within 40 minutes. Learn how to answer them in 40 minutes. It's essential to passing the exam. In the exam, the examiner will tell you when 40 minutes have passed for each question to remind you to move to the next one. Each of the 3 essays equals 1/3 of the total essay score, and the entire essay, free response section, is equal to 55% of the total exam score. So it's actually worth more than 5% more than the multiple choice question. How are these essays marked? Well, I do not correct them. They are sent to the College Board and read by experienced, well-trained high school English AP teachers or college professors. They're all trained and taught how to do this, and they have a scoring rubric to follow very closely. The essay is given a score from 1 to 9. A score of 0 is recorded for a student who writes completely off topic. For example, why I think this test is a waste of money. A student who doesn't even attempt an essay, who leaves a blank page, will receive the equivalent of a 0 score, but it is noted as a dash on the reader's scoring sheet. which means that essay is not counted. The reader assigns a score based on the essay's merits as a whole and what the essay does well. The readers don't simply count errors. Essay scoring guides encompass 4 essential points. AP readers want your essays to be on topic, well organized, thoroughly developed, and correct in mechanics and sophisticated in style. Sophistication in style means using a mix of vocabulary, different sentence styles, different structures, referring to relevant ideas or topics that you're aware of outside of what's in the passage, and so on. So it's good to read a lot to practice for this exam, as we will be doing in the course anyway. And I would suggest, knowing your literary periods and just learning as much as you can about the authors that you're reading in class as well. You're going to have to do some work outside of class in order to pass this exam. There's no getting around it. Remember the following strategies when practicing the essay. Format your essay with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Clearly divide ideas into separate paragraphs. Clearly indent the paragraphs. Stay on topic. If you drift away from the topic, your essay will be quite weak overall. Use sophisticated diction and sentences with some variety in length and structure. Be organized and logical in your presentation, and be sure to address all of the tasks the essay question requires. If there's a why or why not, and you do not address why or why not, your essay will be considered off topic. Here are examples of 2 types of essay questions. Keep this in your folder so we can use them to do a bit of practice in class. You can write this down. You can do this as practice on your own. The other is a synthesis essay, and we'll practice that separately because synthesis essays require you to make an argumentative essay based on evidence from several sources. You need to read the question and assess the sources to support your argument, which usually asks you to defend or challenge a claim about the topic discussed in the sources. We will practice them separately as you need to be able to read the sources and make notes. It works better in booklet than video form. Here are the sample questions. Question type 1, suggested time 40 minutes. This question counts as 1/3 of the total essay score. Fanny Burney, Madame D'Arblay, once wrote, "There is nothing upon the face of the earth so insipid as a medium. Give me love or hate, a friend that will go to jail for me, or an enemy that will run me through the body." In a well-thought-out essay, evaluate the validity of Burney's assertion about extremes. Use appropriate evidence to make your argument convincing. So you bring in ideas about things you've read about before, other essays different situations. You can even quote a television show here if you want to. I mean, this is Game of Thrones material, isn't it? So you could use those kinds of references as well. As long as it's well written and intelligently done, it will be fine. This is question type 2. Directions. The following essay comes from Sir Thomas More's Utopia from 1516. Read the passage carefully, then write an essay that evaluates the validity of the speaker's ideas in light of contemporary standards. Use appropriate evidence to develop your essay and convince the reader of your ideas. Evaluate the validity of the speaker's ideas in light of contemporary standards. So how do these statements in Thomas More's Utopia read today? What about our standards? How do they compare? Are they still valid or not? That's the task you're addressing. Passage is here. I will leave you to read it by yourself. You can pause this if you need more time. Help you approach the essay questions and enable you to better understand the expectations for the AP English Language and Composition exam. Don't worry, a whole lot of course time will be spent training you to do these types of questions. They will be very familiar by the end of the course and by the time you come to write the exam. Good luck.